What if I told you that one of the most exciting Avatar fights was never supposed to stay hidden? I'm not talking about a tiny deleted moment or a few unfinished sketches. I'm talking about real production animatics that reveal an entirely different version of the movie, one that was more intense, more emotional, and honestly, far more brutal than what audiences eventually saw on screen. These scenes weren't just ideas tossed around during development. They had already been storyboarded, animated, and pushed deep into production before they were suddenly removed. And after seeing them, it's hard not to wonder if the final movie actually cut some of its best material. The first deleted sequence completely changes one of the biggest action scenes in the film. If you've watched the final version, you probably remember how quickly Team Avatar was defeated. The battle moved so fast that most of the characters barely had a chance to show what they were capable of. It looked like they were completely overwhelmed within moments, leaving many fans disappointed. But the deleted version tells a completely different story. Instead of rushing through the fight, every member of Team Avatar gets a chance to shine. The pacing feels slower, the choreography is easier to follow, and every attack carries real weight. Right from the beginning, the enemy targets Katara, believing that Aang's greatest weakness is the people he cares about. That setup remains the same, but everything that follows is dramatically different. Katara immediately proves why she's one of the strongest waterbenders in the world. Rather than being pushed around, she blocks incoming attacks with precision, dodges at the perfect moments, and counters with powerful water techniques. Every movement feels confident and calculated. You can actually see her fighting with the determination of someone who's willing to risk everything to protect her friends. One of the coolest moments comes when she creates sharp ice spikes beneath her opponent, forcing him to react instantly instead of staying on the offensive. It's a reminder that Katara has never been a defensive fighter. When the situation demands it, she can be just as dangerous as anyone standing against her. The environment itself also feels more mysterious in this deleted version. Strange glowing energy fills the background, while massive lion turtles silently watch over the battlefield. Their glowing eyes make the entire location feel almost supernatural, adding an eerie atmosphere that wasn't nearly as noticeable in the final movie. Whether this visual had a deeper meaning or was simply an unfinished artistic choice remains unknown, but it definitely makes the scene feel more cinematic. Despite Katara's impressive performance, her opponent eventually gains the upper hand. Using overwhelming speed, he closes the distance in an instant and lands a devastating strike that sends her flying backward. Unlike the final cut, you can actually feel the force behind every impact. The animation pauses just long enough for each hit to register, making every punch look painful instead of rushed. Before Katara can recover, Sokka jumps into the fight without hesitation. This is one of the biggest improvements over the theatrical version because Sokka finally feels like an important member of the battle. He isn't standing in the background waiting for someone else to save the day. He charges forward, attacks aggressively, and even manages to slash his opponent's hand with his weapon before throwing his famous boomerang. It's a brief moment, but it perfectly captures Sokka's courage. He knows he's facing someone far stronger than himself, yet he refuses to back down. Just as the fight continues to escalate, another familiar face joins the battle. Zuko launches into the action with an explosive entrance, attacking with fast, aggressive firebending that immediately raises the intensity of the fight. For a brief moment, it almost looks like the heroes are beginning to work together. But that hope doesn't last very long. Their opponent responds with incredible speed, countering Zuko's attack before slamming him violently into the ground. The sequence also showcases a unique airbending style that feels both elegant and terrifying, making the villain appear even more dangerous than before. Then comes one of the most exciting entrances in the entire deleted sequence. Toph arrives with absolute confidence, sending enormous boulders crashing toward the battlefield. The sheer scale of her earthbending instantly changes the momentum of the fight. These aren't ordinary rocks, they're massive projectiles that demonstrate just how powerful Toph has become. Watching her command the earth with such effortless precision reminds everyone why she's considered one of the greatest earthbenders in Avatar history. For a split second, it feels like Team Avatar might finally gain the advantage. But what happens next changes everything. Just when it seems like Toph has shifted the momentum of the battle, everything falls apart in an instant. Instead of struggling against the massive boulders, the villain reacts with unbelievable speed, slipping through the attack before unleashing a powerful energy strike directly into Toph's chest. The impact is devastating. She isn't simply knocked backward, she's launched across the battlefield with incredible force, collapsing to the ground almost immediately. It's one of the darkest moments ever shown in an Avatar animatic, and it instantly raises the stakes for everyone else. The reaction from Team Avatar makes this moment even more powerful. For the first time, you can see genuine fear spread across their faces. They realize this isn't just another opponent. They're facing someone capable of defeating even the strongest benders with frightening ease. That emotional reaction is something the final movie barely had time to show, but here it becomes one of the scene's greatest strengths. Without giving anyone a chance to recover, the villain immediately turns toward Zuko. Even after taking a hard hit earlier, Zuko refuses to stay down. He gets back on his feet, launches another burst of fire, and charges forward with everything he has. It's exactly what fans expect from him. Zuko has never been the kind of person to surrender, no matter how impossible the situation becomes. Unfortunately, determination isn't enough. Before Zuko can land another attack, the villain closes the distance almost instantly, grabbing him with overwhelming force. The speed is shocking. 1 second Zuko is fighting back, and the next he's completely overpowered. A brutal strike sends him crashing into the ground, leaving him unable to continue. The sequence makes it painfully clear that every member of Team Avatar is being pushed beyond their limits. Now only Katara and Sokka remain standing. Knowing they can't win through raw strength alone, the brother and sister fight together, trying to create openings whenever they can. Sokka keeps moving, refusing to stop attacking despite the danger surrounding him. Katara supports him with waterbending, hoping that teamwork can succeed where individual strength has failed. Their coordination feels far more natural than in the released version, making their bond as siblings even more believable. But once again, the villain proves to be too powerful. Katara is forced dangerously close to the edge of a cliff after a series of heavy attacks. For a terrifying moment, it looks like she's about to fall. Then, in one of the most heartwarming moments of the deleted sequence, Momo rushes in without hesitation. The tiny flying lemur risks his own life to pull Katara away from danger, reminding viewers that bravery isn't measured by size. Even though Momo has no chance against an enemy this strong, he still chooses to protect his family. That single act perfectly captures why fans have always loved his character. As Katara regains her balance, she looks up and witnesses something heartbreaking. Sokka has been captured. He's lifted off the ground by his throat, struggling to breathe while blood runs from the corner of his mouth. Even in this terrifying situation, Sokka isn't thinking about himself. Instead, he desperately tells Katara to run. He knows he may not survive, but if his sacrifice gives his sister even the smallest chance to escape, then it's worth it. It's one of the strongest character moments in the entire deleted fight and shows exactly why Sokka has always been the emotional backbone of Team Avatar. Katara refuses to give up. With tears in her eyes, she creates a sharp blade of ice around her hand and charges forward one last time. It's an incredible visual that shows just how desperate she's become. This isn't about winning anymore. It's about protecting the people she loves. But her final attack barely misses. Before she can recover, the villain lands one last devastating blow, sending Katara flying off the cliff. She crashes hundreds of feet below, rolling across the beach before disappearing into the ocean waves. And just like that, the battle is over. Watching this deleted version, it's easy to understand why so many fans believe it was the stronger fight. Every character receives meaningful moments, the choreography is easier to follow, and the emotional weight feels far greater than the version that reached theaters. But believe it or not, this incredible battle wasn't the biggest surprise hidden during the movie's production. Because the next deleted sequence reveals something that completely changes the story itself. As incredible as that deleted battle was, it wasn't the biggest surprise hidden inside the movie's production files. The most shocking discovery came from an early version of the story that almost changed the entire film. Before the final villain was chosen, the creators were developing a completely different character to stand against Aang. His name was Hulong, and judging by the surviving production animatics, the movie had already progressed surprisingly far before the decision was made to replace him. This wasn't just an early concept or a rough idea written on paper. The team had already created storyboards, dialogue, and animated fight sequences featuring Hulong. That tells us one important thing: the original version of the movie was much further along than most people ever imagined. Changing the main villain at that stage would have required massive rewrites, new animation, and countless production changes. Yet the studio still decided to take that risk. The deleted sequence begins with Aang looking genuinely unsettled. Something has clearly happened moments before, and whatever he has learned has completely changed the way he looks at Hulong. When Hulong approaches and calmly asks if Aang has discovered anything, the conversation immediately feels tense. Aang tries to hide the truth, but Hulong instantly realizes something is wrong. Then everything changes. Without warning, Hulong uses earthbending in a way that feels unlike anything we've seen before. Instead of throwing rocks with raw force, he manipulates them with incredible precision, almost as if every piece of stone is connected to his hands. Massive rocks move smoothly through the air, changing direction effortlessly while trapping Aang from every angle. It's a unique fighting style that makes Hulong feel less like a traditional earthbender and more like a master strategist controlling the battlefield itself. As the fight continues, Hulong reveals something even more interesting. He suggests that the history Aang believes may only tell one side of the truth. According to him, great power should never have belonged to a single person. It's a brief line, but it completely changes the emotional weight of the confrontation. Suddenly, this isn't just a fight between a hero and a villain. It's a battle between two completely different beliefs about power, responsibility, and history. Aang immediately fights back with everything he has. His air bending is faster, more aggressive, and noticeably different from the calm fighting style fans usually associate with him. Instead of simply defending himself, he actively pushes Hulong back, combining multiple elements in rapid succession. The choreography suggests that Aang is no longer trying to avoid conflict. He's trying to end it. One moment in particular stands out. For a second, it almost looks like Aang is preparing to remove Hulong's bending, similar to what he once did to Fire Lord Ozai. But the sequence suddenly shifts, and instead of choosing mercy, Aang unleashes a powerful combination of all four elements at once. The animatic ends before we see the final outcome, leaving fans with one huge unanswered question. What exactly did Hulong know? And what had Aang learned that made him fight with such determination? Unfortunately, we'll probably never know the complete answer. Since the villain was removed during production, this version of the story was abandoned before it could be finished. Somewhere inside Paramount's archives, there may still be hours of unfinished animation showing an entirely different Avatar movie that audiences never got the chance to experience. Even though these scenes were never completed, they give us a fascinating look behind the curtain. They remind us that animated films continue evolving until the very last stages of production. Entire characters can disappear, storylines can change overnight, and unforgettable moments can be left on the cutting room floor. In many ways, these deleted scenes feel like a glimpse into an alternate version of the Avatar universe, one where Team Avatar fought a far more brutal battle and where Aang faced a completely different destiny. And honestly, after seeing these animatics, it's impossible not to wonder what the final movie could have been. If more deleted production material is ever released, we'll definitely be breaking it all down. Until then, let me know which of these deleted scenes surprised you the most, and whether you think they should have been included in the final movie. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more Avatar analysis, and I'll see you in the next one.